Hey everyone, I'm Piet Levy, music writer for the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, and here with some of our music writers on the last day of Summerfest, here with Catherine Joswick, Damon Joy, and John M. Gilbertson, talking about the best and worst of this last weekend, and the best and worst overall that we haven't talked about in these previous videos. Catherine, we'll start with you. What's been the best thing this weekend and the worst thing this weekend?
Okay, well, the best thing this weekend was definitely the Bleacher Show at the Miller Lite Oasis. They were just, a lot of fun, really infectious pop, indie music. Really got the crowd revved up. Very well-crafted music. He had 2 sax players with him, a keyboardist, and it was just a lot of fun. Lots of head bopping and youthful energy, so I really had a good time. Yeah, great show.
That's awesome. That's very cool. Yeah, I know Jack Antonoff loves Summerfest, so clearly they brought it for Summerfest for sure, and they got the new album and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
What about the worst? What was the worst of the weekend?
Well, I'm sad to say, but the Psychedelic Furs, and I think it's just because they were beset by technical problems. They went on over a half hour late. The crowd was getting antsy. People were kind of looking at their phones, talking to their friends. They weren't really engaged with the shows, so the applause was really lackluster. But the music sounded great. They did a lot of stuff from their new album, Made of Rain, from last year. They did some of their hits as well, but I think the audience was just disengaged due to the technical issues. So hopefully if they do decide to tour Milwaukee anytime soon or play Summerfest again, they'll have a better, they won't have as many technical problems. So
Yeah. Well, Damon, what about for you? What was the best thing you saw for weekend 3 and the worst thing you saw for weekend 3 at Summerfest?
The best thing, oddly for me, was Charlie Wilson.
Cool.
I grew up on Gap Band and stuff like that, so it's like a lot of like flashbacks from like my childhood and all that kind of stuff. He puts on this crazy Vegas-like show with, they do set changes and costume changes. There's like 15 girls dancing around. It was pretty wild, but the main thing was his voice. It's just as beautiful as it was 50 years ago. It's just amazing he can still sing that way after he's been through he had a major drug problem.
Yeah.
Had testicular cancer, I think something like that. He had some kind of cancer, made it through all this, and he just sounds amazing still. It was just a really, really good show. He's still dancing, he's just out there like he's still young, it was great.
Was there anything that wasn't a great show this weekend?
It was. I won't say it was a bad show, but Big Daddy Kane was just at a weird time.
Okay.
That 4 o'clock time set for him was, didn't get a lot of people there. People just weren't around at that time.
Yeah.
So we had a few people like hip hop fame of Milwaukee were there, which was cool, but he just did not get the crowd he should have had.
Yeah.
I think he should have been on way later, like 8 or 10.
He did deliver. I stopped there for a second. He had a full band going, and he definitely delivered with a lot of passion. So hopefully more people show up next year. I feel like a Thursday in September was just a tough time for a 4 o'clock, act to get a lot of people there, unfortunately. Yeah. So maybe in the summer with those 4 o'clock shows, they'll get more people.
Definitely.
Off camera, Catherine had mentioned that Bleachers was her favorite of the whole festival, and she mentioned Psychedelic Furs was the worst of the whole festival that she saw. What about for you, Damon? Was there anything that we haven't talked about on these videos that was really amazing or really terrible?
I thought Tanks and the Bangers was like, to me, it was a great show. I've only seen them on the Tiny Desk, and they just blew me away. The outfit was a little weird that she was wearing, but she got the job done. Her voice is amazing. Her band, just incredible. They brought the house down. Like, people were just going wild. That was one of my favorites and Charlie Wilson, of course, which I just mentioned. But
yeah. You also mentioned too, Leon, because we didn't talk about it on camera before, but Leon Bridges, you said, was really great that first weekend.
Oh yeah, that was also a weird crowd. A lot of young college students, which I found strange, because he's got this kind of R&B, soul, Texas intertwined music, and it was just really good. He's got a great voice, great dancer, excellent band. No problems at all with that show. Like, his voice was just perfect the whole way through. I loved it.
And John, you've been covering Summerfest every Saturday through the run this year.
Yeah.
What was the best thing that you saw at Summerfest 2021, the worst thing you saw this year?
So far, best thing, a couple shows to go yet, but best thing so far, the weather station out of Canada, led by a woman named Tamara Lindemann, who has gone through a lot of different changes with the band. I mean, she goes from like what you might call a kind of jazz folk to what was some very early country folk. It was about a 45-minute set, but it was very quiet, but it drew me in. Cool. And I think it drew the crowd in too, where there was this kind of silence around her and I thought that was really effective. And then, I mean, she's coming off the album Ignorance, which is just a fantastic record too, as well. As for worst, that was an easy layup. That was Vince Neil.
Okay.
Frontman of Motley Crue, also, as I said in a review, kind of a reminder that there are some people who are not really frontmen. They're just the guys who are like, you want to sing? Yeah, sure, I'll do it. And then that becomes a 40-year, 50-year run. Realizing that with the non-Motley Crue band playing these various songs, you think, yeah, I like these songs for other things, not really for his vocals or his lyrics. So he's just kind of up there while I'm waiting for them to just keep chugging.
Yeah, sure. Well, there's a lot this weekend that I liked and things I didn't really like. There was some of the worst stuff I saw was this weekend too. Starting with Mast Wolf. He is an Australian rapper who has a hit called Astronaut in the Ocean. It was a very Spinal Tap kind of show. You mentioned Big Daddy Kane not having a crowd. He had far fewer people than Big Daddy Kane. Big Daddy Kane didn't really have anybody. And he kept kind of teasing that, Astronaut in the Ocean's coming, it's coming. And there's this awkward Spinal Tap moment where he blasted off streamers into the crowd. And it just took the crowd by surprise. No one was very excited. They were just kind of stunned and scared. And then the breeze blew the streamers away from the crowd. And it just got all tangled up in the TV screens and in the speakers. And he actually said something like, when I blow confetti at you guys, you need to be excited. I pay money for this stuff. So, very awkward set. The worst that, he's new, Mast Wolf, but Polo G, I was really stunned. And you were at that Megan Thee Stallion show, Damon. I was really shocked how bad Polo G was. I mean, he just felt like a very much of a contractual obligation. I think he's a good rapper. I think he has really good songs and really gripping songs. But live, it just felt like he was just kind of punching the clock and getting out at the 30-minute mark. Just not a very good show at all. Although at that show, you had DJ Biz on from Milwaukee, who did an amazing job amping up that crowd. I mean, that was just a master class in how to be a really good, fun, party-starting DJ. And of course, Megan Thee Stallion was fantastic that night. This weekend, too, I really enjoyed Cam, country singer Cam. She played at 4 o'clock here on Saturday. I mean, the festival's not a good environment for a really good lyricist, but it worked for the weather station, like you said. It was an attentive crowd. She's such a great songwriter, and I just loved how a 4 o'clock audience that came probably because it was free today at Summerfest, they came and they were listening so attentively to her set for every song, not just like Burning House, but every song. That was really magical. My favorite set of the weekend and maybe the whole year was Miley Cyrus, who was just really spectacular Friday night at the amphitheater. She actually confessed, like during the middle of the show, that there was kind of a pause in between songs, and she confessed that she was like on the verge of a panic attack. And she talked about how hard it was to be back on a stage after being away from a stage for a while, and she just felt like she needed to be really open about that and transparent about that. And she got a lot of really great support from the crowd, a lot of just validation from the crowd. And from there, the set just became even more like electrifying. She has amazing vocals, and just it's a really, really good show. And it was really even more powerful just because she was so emotionally transparent. And besides that, I just want to do one more shout out to 21 Pilots, who played that first weekend. We didn't get to talk about them before. That was an amazing show too, because that was like the first show they did in like, 622 days or something insane like that. Just a really, really long time. And that band, that was probably the best show they have ever done, because that band is just so much better live. Even though they've been a really exciting live band, they've really fleshed it out with more musicians. There's more musicality, some really good songs, just more variety there. I mean, they're just the best that they've ever been. Anyone that's going to see them on tour this fall is in for a real treat. And I feel like all of us were kind of in for a treat at Summerfest. I mean, it's amazing that Summerfest actually happened this year, after being canceled last year, with the pandemic still being such a struggle. But despite all those struggles out there, there was some really great music, and you guys did a really great job with the reviews. And thank you, everyone, for following our coverage at JS Online. Please check back for more coverage as we wrap up Summerfest, and we'll see you again next summer.